Thank you very much. Congressman Jack Kingston sparking controversy last week for some statements he made about whether or not school lunches ought to be free for students. Listen.
Why don't you have the kids pay a dime, pay a nickel, to instill in them that there is, in fact, no such thing as a free lunch? Or maybe sweep the floor in the cafeteria.
Or maybe sweep the floor in the cafeteria. And after making these remarks, Kingston has found himself at the center of some pretty heated criticism, and he joins us now this morning to respond. Good morning.
Good morning, Anna and Tucker.
So was this taken out of context, or is this really what you mean? They should be doing janitorial duties in order to pay for their pizza or chicken nuggets?
Well, let me say this. This discussion was about how do we instill the work ethic in the next generation in America. And it started out with me asking how many of you, when you were 14 or 15 years old, had a job in which you learned things that you still apply to your everyday life and your job. And I believe kids of all social economic levels could benefit from having chores inside the house, outside the house. There are many schools already that do have some community service requirements in order to graduate. It affects all kids. It builds better citizens, and it creates the work ethic for the next generation. And it's a sad thing that in America you can't even talk about things like this anymore without this kind of, I gotcha, okay, we got a tracker after you, we're going to put this on the news and make political hay over it. And this was a public meeting on a Saturday morning. Not a statement of policy. It wasn't even a speech. It was a discussion. So
the Huffington Post and other lefty bloggers, all of whom are rich, by the way, want to send you the way of Phil Robertson. They're outraged that you would say this, and yet they basically concede we have a problem with the work ethic in America because they're espousing immigration reform because there are jobs Americans won't do. Is there a problem with America's work ethic? I mean, how blunt do you want to be about it? Is there?
Tucker, I think that there is. I think kids from affluent families as well as kids from less affluent families can learn from some of the basics. And again, when I ask the question, how many of you, when you were 14 or 15 years old, had a job in which you learned something that you still apply? If you ask that question to people who are 40 years old or so, nearly 100% of the hands go up because people say, oh, yes. And I'm a father of 4. I had my kids cleaning the garage, cleaning their rooms, helping do the dishes, and I think they are better young adults because of it. So to me, we need to be talking about how do we instill the work ethic in the next generation, and I think that conversation is one that's desperately needed in America.
Yeah, certainly we don't want to breed an entitlement nation, and kids learn a lot of things even when they're at camp, and it doesn't matter who you are, if you're behaving, misbehaving, if you make this much money or that much money or what type of family you come from. Everybody has to sweep the cabin and wash the dishes and everything. But I want to press you on that. Are you saying that it's not just the low-income families that their kids who are getting the free lunches should do the duties? Everybody should have to.
Everybody should have to, and there are schools all over the country that do require kids to do some community service. Many schools, the kids clean the lunchroom themselves, and it's a very positive thing. I would not ever want to single out less affluent children. This is good for everybody in all socioeconomic groups.
Congressman Jack Kingston of Georgia. Thanks a lot, Congressman. We appreciate it.
Thank you.